as you can see, we're on the range here, and this is a continuation of a series we've been doing called My Favorite Rifles and Loads. And this rifle just recently made the cut to make it on this series. It is probably my wife's favorite rifle at this point in time. This is a Nosler M48 mountain carbon rifle, chambered in 28 Nosler. And it's still got the rubber band on it from a hunt that it was just on, where it was holding the dope card. It's an ultralight hunting rifle. It weighs in 6 pounds without an optic. With the optic mounted in place here, I believe it weighs in right around 7.6 pounds. And the optic I have mounted on here is a Leupold VX3i LRP. It's a 6.5 to 20 by 50 millimeter optic. Really good optic. I do wish it gathered just a smidge more light, but for hunting purposes, it works really, really well. And the tracking is 100% reliable. It's made several difficult shots. It's been shot at long range and quite a bit over the years. At the time of this filming, this rifle probably has somewhere north of 400 rounds through it, 500 rounds through it. I don't have an exact round count on this rifle. I probably should have kept better track, but from what I can remember, it's got about 500, 600 rounds maybe at the most. So it is nearing the end of its barrel life, but it still shoots very well, and for hunting purposes, it gets a handful of rounds through it a year. And to rebarrel it is no big deal. I've already got a load worked up for it. I kind of know what to expect with the 28 Nosler now, and it's a great big game cartridge. We have a Proof Research 24-inch carbon fiber barrel. This is their light Sendero profile, and it's a 1 in 9 twist. At the end here we have a Nosler SR30 ALTI suppressor, and it's threaded on there. There is a Coltac suppressor cover on it currently. I usually have that on there when I'm hunting, and for shooting purposes it greatly helps reduce the amount of mirage we have coming off the barrel, especially for extended sessions and long strings of fire. So all in all, it's a really nice rifle. The optic is mounted in Tally lightweight single piece base and ring combination mounts. They're phenomenal mounts. The scope has never moved. And a pro tip, especially for those who hunt and take a rifle out in the field a lot, throw it in a scabbard on horseback and stuff like that, I like to use just a plain old number 2 pencil, and I mark the optic. That way you can erase it if need be, but you've got some witness marks to make sure that scope hasn't slid in its mounts. And this scope has been mounted for several years at this point, and it has yet to move. So excellent mounts, and this rifle's been through the ringer on numerous hunts. Most recently, my wife took this rifle out on an Arizona bull elk hunt. She did very well, killed a really good bull with this rifle. Her first shot on that bull was at 38 yards, and her second shot was at 300 yards. And the 300-yard shot dropped it in its tracks. She made a better shot, hit it through both shoulders and punctured both lungs, and just dropped it, killing it instantly. It didn't even twitch after that second shot. The first shot was a little bit far back in the liver there, so he didn't drop right away. Had to put another one in him. But elk are very tough animals. Now for this particular rifle, she worked up a load using one of my favorite bullets, but I can't really take credit for the load part of this video. She worked up a load using the 39 grain Barnes LRX bullet, a personal favorite of mine. That's what I shoot out of my 280 Ackley Improved. And I've got her load data here. She was kind enough to share with me. So what she worked up and settled on is a 78.0 grain charge of Vitavori N565 powder with that 139 Barnes LRX, Peterson cases, Federal 215M primers, and her overall loaded length was 3.400 inches. And that does feed just fine from the magazine. It is a little bit over maximum overall loaded length, but one thing that's really nice about those Barnes bullets is they like a little bit of jump. And in this particular instance, we've got plenty of jump with that long overall loaded length, and we're also taking into account the inevitable throat erosion that occurs with the 28 Nosler. So as that throat erodes, that bullet's already seated long, that jump is more than sufficient. We've got a lot of wiggle room there to keep these things shooting good. And clearly it shot very well on her elk. The bull was moving when she took her first shot, so like I said, it was a little far back, but then she dialed it, scope still set for her dial at 300 yards, and knocked it down. So the rifle's fresh back from the hunt. What do you say we go ahead and put 10 rounds on the target downrange? We'll shoot 5 and then let the barrel cool, shoot another 5. It is a hunting rifle after all. We've got a Garmin Zero C1 Pro chronograph to record all our velocities. Target is at 100 yards. And according to the Kestrel 5700 here, it's a pretty warm day. Temperature is 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity is right at 17%, and pressure when adjusted for altitude, which is 5,000 feet, pressure is 30.42. So all in all, a very, very nice day. We've got minimal wind. It's about, I want to say, if anything, 1 to 3 miles an hour coming from about the 7 o'clock position, give or take. So we should be set up to shoot a pretty decent group. Let's go ahead and see what this rifle can do. All right, so let's go ahead and shoot a group here, 5 rounds before we let the barrel cool. And this rifle only has a capacity of 3+1, so I'm going to have to single feed 1 round here for the last one. Now that first shot that we fired was a legitimate cold bore shot, and you be the judge whether that was cold bore pop or not, but those next 4 all stacked right in there. Looks like we're right at an inch group for the first 5 shots. Again, let the barrel cool and we'll see what it can do. All right, so we've gone ahead and let the rifle cool a little bit. I'm in the shade now, but we're gonna go ahead and finish this up as the sun is setting. First 5 looked really good to me. Let's see what we can do with the next 5. Last one. Got a lot of mirage on this shot. Probably should have let the barrel cool a little more. Yeah, she's pretty toasty now. But there you have it. There's 10 rounds on the paper. You can make an estimate as to the group size, but we'll go ahead and review the target in just a moment. So normally we close out those videos on the range, but unfortunately we ran into some technical difficulties where there was no audio for that last segment of our video. So I'm back in the studio refilming this portion, and we'll just pick up right where we left off with our target review here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the target and the load data information. For this load, we used a Vitavori N565 powder, a 78.0 grain charge with a 139 grain Barnes LRX bullet, Peterson cases, which are of outstanding quality. I'm a big fan of Peterson rifle cases. They're making really high quality uniform brass, and they just perform very well. And that is reflected with the exceptional standard deviations that we got with this load of just 10 and an extreme spread of just 26. And the average velocity was 3,254 feet a second on the 10 shots that we fired on the paper. And on the paper, the group size measures out to 1.11 inches with a mean radius of just 0.36 inches. Now this rifle shoots very, very well, as you can see for yourself, and now you can kind of see why it's one of my personal favorite rifles and loads, as well as my wife's. And again, I can't take credit for the load. She did all the load development to work up this load. The only thing I really did to help was recommend a good bullet for her, and that was that 139 LRX. But all in all, what makes these rifles sometimes our favorites is not necessarily how well they shoot, how good they look, and stuff like that. That's definitely an aspect to it, but it's also the memories we make along the way. So if you'd indulge me for a moment, I'll briefly give you a rundown on the bull elk hunt that I got to be a part of and play guide for my wife. She had the tag and she was carrying this rifle throughout the 4 days we spent hunting. And the third day, we got into some bulls that were bugling early in the morning, thick fog, just peak Arizona rut hunt activity going on. They were screaming. There was at least 4, maybe 5 bulls in there. Hard to tell, but we got in on them. You could only see about maybe 60 yards through the fog at most, and it was dense, and we just seemed to be one step behind. We'd hear them bugling, we would be chasing the bugle, and then they just stayed one step ahead of us. And so the next day we went back to that same area and let out a location bugle, didn't hear nothing, drove about another 1.5 miles down the road, let out a bugle, and we got an answer. And they were pretty much right exactly where we thought they were gonna be. And so we decided that rather than chase them, we're gonna try and get ahead of them. So we made a difficult choice to turn around, drive the truck back 1 mile, and hike in trying to cut off these elk. And lo and behold, it worked out beautifully. It was very early in the morning, first light when we got there, heard that first bugle. And by the time we got back 1 mile, things were light enough to start walking. So we walked in, and about 3/4 of a mile into our hike in, we could hear the bulls starting to fire up. There were bugles over here, bugles over there, bugles in front of us. And so we kind of just took it slow and steady and listened, kind of ID'd each of the bulls in there. And eventually we set up between 2 bulls that were bugling pretty aggressively to each other. And we got set up, she got on her rifle, we had a tripod there, so we just sat there and waited for the 2 bulls to come between us, hopefully. Hopefully one would pop out on the right and one would pop out on the left, and we'd be there for all of it. And we had some cows come out, and turns out the herd bull was pushing his cows, pushed them right by us, and then out popped the herd bull. And we've actually got some footage. It's not the best because I was the videographer for it, so I apologize for the poor quality, but it'll give you a good idea of what we were dealing with, getting to see that bull emerge from the fog and the thick trees. Just truly a magical experience. So let's take a look at that. So that was the first shot that she made on that bull. It was at a distance of 38 yards, and you can see he kind of wandered off. She racked the bolt and lightning speed and tried to get a second shot into him, but before she could squeeze that second shot off, he wandered into the trees. And at that point, we knew he was hit pretty good. He was hit pretty hard. There was a little bit of blood there, so we decided to back up on our hill, try and catch him. And sure enough, a little while later, the fog started to lift, and we were able to see a lot better. We didn't think he had gone far, We didn't hear him crash out of there. We could see fairly well enough to be pretty confident he hadn't moved out of that country yet. And so by the time the fog had lifted it up, sure enough, we managed to glass him up on the opposite side of the hill, bedded down, hurt pretty good. And she managed to thread a needle of a shot through some thick brush, and she nailed him in both lungs, both shoulders. Bullet exited out the other side, dropped him in his tracks, killed him instantly. And when we went up there and actually gutted the animal, we were able to see the terminal performance. The first shot actually didn't exit, surprisingly. It was likely such a close shot at such high velocity that bullet expanded rapidly enough to kind of slow it down and stop just short of the opposite side of the hide. And then the second shot actually exited both shoulders, breaking both shoulders, hitting both lungs. Just a tremendous amount of damage there. Excellent, excellent shot. And the terminal performance was extremely impressive with that rather light for caliber and light for animal bullet. But all in all, I've been very impressed with the performance of these Barnes LRX bullets. Of course, shot placement is absolutely critical, and that shot behind the lungs into the liver certainly would have killed the animal. When we gutted him, he had a lot of internal bleeding, and I don't think he would have went too far. But it's always nice to be able to make a quick, clean, and ethical kill and put the animal down as quickly as possible. So that second follow-up shot was definitely warranted. And it was good to see, again, excellent terminal performance at a distance of 300 yards. That bullet still had more than enough energy to punch through both shoulders. So that's another reason why I'm a big fan of this load, and in particular, the bullet that we use. There's a good reason we choose that 139 LRX for a lot of our hunting. Seen countless mule deer taken with it. Again, I know people have shot moose with it with good effect on target, so I'm a big advocate of that particular bullet. The powder is also excellent. Vitavori makes some outstanding powder, and it's a little bit of a sleeper powder in the 28 Nosler. But the performance is excellent, decoppering agent, temperature stable, and you get some very impressive and respectable velocities out of it. So all in all, it's not just the load, but also the memories and the rifle. You can see how this all just comes together to hold a special place in my heart, especially after that bull elk hunt. That's something that I'm going to get to carry with me for the rest of my life, look back on, and enjoy. Chasing elk through thick fog, bugling, it just doesn't get any better than that. So this will always hold a very special place in my heart, and the rifle performs extremely well, and it's a whole lot of fun to hunt with and handle in the field. So we hope you liked this video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you did like what you saw, be sure to give us a thumbs up and let us know. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you're notified when we post our next video. We've got a lot of exciting content. This one's a little bit different, these favorite rifle videos, but it's fun for me to get to share a little bit of my experience and give you guys a glimpse into what I'm up to and what I enjoy doing. And if you have any experiences or questions or anything you'd like to share with us or ask of us, be sure to leave those in the comments below. I do read every single one of those, and I respond to them as time permits. It's getting harder as we're growing and we get a lot more comments, but I do read every single one of them, and I do my best to respond to them as I can. So thank you guys so much. We greatly appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next episode.